can't even remember 15 minutes ago, let alone last week.
Here we go. Let's take advantage of this. I'm Mitch Docker, and this is Life in the Peloton's Race Radio. Over to you.
Hello everybody, welcome to Life in the Peloton's Race Radio. The tour is just a couple of weeks away. Can you believe it?
Tantalisingly close.
Oh, so close. It's Stu and I. We've been a few times.
That's true.
To the tour, both as fans and working there. So we thought that for this episode of Race Radio, we might do a bit of a fans guide. What do you think, Stu?
Well, we may as well. I mean, we're both card-carrying Francophiles as well, aren't we? So
yeah,
we just
do.
Bloody love France.
we do. We thought that whether you're going or not this year, or maybe plan to go in another time, going to see the Tour de France is one of the ultimate bucket list things to do as a cycling fan. And so we thought that we'd share a little bit of our knowledge. I mean, it's got to be said, there's no right or wrong way really, but hopefully through our experiences we can share a few ideas that might maybe help you in your plans, whether for this year or for future years.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, we're going to help you to imagine it more fully, aren't we? You can go in there, the mind's eye will be primed for when you're sat on the couch or standing up in the garden if you take Carrie's advice later on.
Exactly. Hopefully we just get everyone excited for the tour. But first, we had the mini tour, the Criterium de Dauphine.
R.I.P.
Well, first of all, there was, we saw at the start of the week, we were all excited, weren't we, Stu? Because we were going to have Remco, Pog, and Evenepoel against each other.
A big showdown, or maybe sort of like a big revelation, a bit of a kind of a primer, a bit of a teaser. And I guess we got a little bit of that for a bit of the first stage. Is that right? What do you think?
Yeah, well, the first stage was a bit like they'd released greyhounds into the wild and they suddenly were like, let's race, and they all went mad. But actually, part of the reason why it was so exciting at the start of the week was because this is only the third ever time that we'd seen Remco, Pog, and Vingegaard race each other in a stage race.
Right. Generational talents, creme de la creme.
Yeah, they should be racing each other every week. Exactly.
Yeah, some people would argue that for sure. I mean,
pick that up from some people would argue that for sure.
Some people would definitely argue that, I think, is that they want to see the very best riders racing one another on their television every single time they turn the TV on. I think they're wrong.
Me.
Yeah, no, I think they're wrong. I think you need to mete it out a little bit. You need a little bit of delayed gratification.
Yeah, quite.
You know?
And so the first stage was amazing. And then when he got to the big mountains, wow, Pog did just show his quality, didn't he? And I don't know if there's that much else to say other than he looks as good as he ever has.
Doesn't he just? White shorts. You know, I mean, I've said before, I love white shorts.
Yeah.
That's really it for me.
Yeah. Of course, on the women's side as well, the Tour de Suisse, well, men's and women's, the Tour de Suisse is on, which is another fascinating pre-tour tune-up. Although they're not really tune-ups these days anymore, are they? Because everyone's just such...
They're pinging all the time, aren't they? So
yeah.
It's more just an opportunity for us to see them on the television, which is... I'll take that.
Yeah, the men's Tour de Suisse is on right now as we record, but the women's finished on Sunday, and actually it was quite a momentous result because Demi Vollering was beaten in a stage race, which is great. Marlon Russo won her home race. So I'm thinking maybe she could be a Tour fan favourite. You know, she's not within the confines of SD Works.
No, she's off the leash.
Second. Yeah, exactly. She got second at La Vuelta and then managed to beat Demi. And then, you know, Cash is getting back.
She's got a couple of Tour stage wins as well, doesn't she? So she's
Marlon
her nickname's the Flying Elephant. Did you know that?
No, I did not. That's fantastic. Can you inform me further, or is that as far as your research has taken you?
I've done a little bit of reading here. Apparently, it was Elise Shabby gave her that nickname, and it's because she's like 1.80 m, so she's pretty tall. And I don't really know what height has to do with being compared to an elephant. That seems kind of maybe slightly unkind in more than one ways. But no, she was absolutely. She was flying, so there's that. I mean, I don't know if you saw the post-stage interview for the final stage, Harry, but Demi Vollering looked absolutely fucked.
Really? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I also saw that and was kind of putting a bit of needle into her old teammate Demi, saying, "Oh, she panics a lot in these, hard situations." I love it.
Fight and
love
talk.
it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's coming back. So, Tour de France fam could be on for a blinder, hopefully.
Was that the best race of the year last year, would you say?
I mean, 4 seconds between the first and second in GC, big showdown on Alpe at the end.
Bloody brilliant.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be there on the mountain that day. It was quite spectacular.
Yeah. If you could pick a stage to go and be at a race, like a Grand
Right.
Tour. Oh.
And I actually had skin in the game, Stu, because I was making a film about Cassia Nieuwedome, so I was very much hoping that she.
But that added a beautiful additional element for you, yeah.
Yeah, it really, really, really did. It was bloody amazing.
I thought you were going to say you had a bet on, but that's even better, I would argue.
Yeah, no.
I could have won loads of money, but no. Instead, I got to make a great documentary.
Exactly. Now available on YouTube.
Harry, you did say that we don't see the likes of Pog v Remco v Evenepoel at races very often. And like you said, that is in fact only the third time that's happened. You and I, for our sins perhaps, we make another podcast called Did Not Finish, where we are joined by esteemed statman Killian Kelly, legendary in cycling community, I would say. He's not here to sort of talk me down from that, so I'm just going to heap praise upon him.
Sure he wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm here, maybe not. He's been getting a shout out on the TV, at least in the UK, from primo presenter Rob Hatch as well, because he's been supplying stats direct to the commentators on the television. So he even got a name check, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty good.
But
if you like a bit of that, Did Not Finish pod, you can find us on your usual platforms.
Yeah, because just the other week that was the stat that Killian presented us, so a topical stat, which is nice. And and then we sort of come at it from all angles, really, like a pack of rabid dogs.
So Tour de France this year, going as a fan. I mean, there are many different ways to do it. First of all. I've actually done the whole thing twice before, Stu. Did you know that?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, good
so
Lord.
all 3 weeks. I did it once after I graduated university. I bike toured it on my own, which was absolutely mad. And the other time was in 2019. We were making a YouTube series for Rafa called EF Gone Racing. And I'll tell you, it's a marathon. I mean, sure, the riders have to actually do the racing, but apart from that, they're basically like babies. They get their nappies changed, they're fed and they're watered, they're massaged, they're driven around. They could all be lobotomized and still make it round, but not if you're a fan. So being a fan of the tour is actually quite hard. So I wanted to kind of jot down some ideas to say, how do you do the perfect cycling fan trip at the tour then? You know?
Yeah.
You can very easily obsess over seeing stage after stage, but from my experience, if you do that, you're chasing too much, because the tour waits for no man or woman. I'll tell you that, Stu. And so I think the best thing is to pick and choose. Maybe you skip a few stages, you take your bike, do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Get a bit of culture.
Exactly. So I did it in 2011. I rode my bicycle around France, and the idea I had in my mind was, I'll get trained to keep up with the race, but even that is not fast enough to keep up with a rampaging peloton. So I would say, don't be too ambitious would be rule number 1 for following.
You need to give yourself a lot of time, because if you're riding on a full-sized bicycle, you have to pack it up to take it on the train, which, unless you're relatively well practiced, that's a bit of a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
I've taken trains to the south of France I go to a race called the Trans-Pyrenees to write about it, which is super fun. And the last time I went there, I took the train all the way from Glasgow to the south of France. And more than once did I see somebody, if they'd been a cartoon, they would be like the steam coming out of their ears, trying to take their bike apart to get it on the train.
Yeah,
the trains are amazing, there's no doubt, but taking your bike apart is not a pleasurable experience unless you allow yourself a good amount of time.
Or you ride a Brompton.
You could have a folding bicycle, yeah.
Yeah,
which is what I had with me last time. I had not only was it a folding bicycle, it had a little motor in it as well, so I was absolutely flying up the climbs.
Well, that is the ultimate, I would say, to take, because I was going to say that the main thing I would say is you got to go to the mountains. Don't waste your time going to the other stages, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
if you're going to do one stage, Make it a mountain stage.
Yeah, for sure. It's so much more epic. The riders actually go slightly slower, so you can sort of see them. Whereas when they're on the flat stage, it's like shoo, 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 shoo.
Oh yeah.
But the mountains are hard. They're hectic. They're stressful.
Yeah.
There's mental traffic jams. You're going to get sunburnt. You're probably going to get hungry. You're going to get thirsty at one point. But the payoff is always the best. So, yeah, for sure, go to the mountains.
Just a bit of planning. Make sure you've got picnic supplies for a good amount of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't forget sunscreen like I did. Terrible mistake.
You never forget that video call with you and seeing you. I was like, God, is there something wrong with the camera? No, God, Stu is glowing.
He's gone beetroot. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was in
yeah.
the sun.
A Scotsman in the sun, standing in the snow, reflecting. Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Don't forget sunscreen. Take a hat. Just anything sensible. I mean, the Aussies, what's it? Slip, slap, slop, right?
Is that what they say?
I think something like that. I don't know what those
That's
things
good.
mean. Maybe Mitch can enlighten us.
Have you ever been to sprint stage, Stu?
I've never been to a sprint finish. No, when you said about the Peloton rampaging by, I just remembered the start of when you and I went to Liège-Bastogne-Liège and we watched them on the way out, and it was just an absolute non-event because they go by in a big bunch. Can't see anything.
Yeah.
But sprint finish,
It's the same. It's the same with the sprint finish, because everyone goes to the stage finish towns, right?
More accessible, I suppose.
Well, it's actually not more accessible because you won't see a thing. Unless you're standing at the barriers for 2 hours, you're not going to see a thing of a sprint finish. Like, you could go down to, 800 meters to go. Maybe you'll get a better view, but then maybe the peloton is still together, So if you're going to have to take for example, I was last year for a sprint finish. Didn't see a thing. I saw the back of a lot of people's heads. I saw a lot of phones filming the sprint finish.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't actually see the sprint finish. So I would suggest not going to the right at the end of a sprint stage unless you have a VIP pass, of course.
Sharp elbows. Or go there 8 hours early and have a very long...
But then, then you're going to be... don't do that.
Bored.
Be mad.
Worse.
I did once managed in 2011 when I was doing my solo little tour... I saw Mark Cavendish win the stage into Montpellier, and I did it by hanging off the back of the VIP stand. I managed to climb up there and desperately hold on to get a view, and that was great. Yeah,
I remember you climbing up a lamppost to see Geraint Thomas after the finish in Paris of the 2018 tour. So there's proof of that ability. You got a couple of funny looks from the gendarmerie, but
well,
the thronging masses protected you.
In a similar vein, Grande Boucle are very fun, and I went to the Brussels Grande Boucle in 2019, and I did, very, very nearly get arrested for graffitiing the roads in the middle of the city centre, writing "Go Rigo Go." I was, working for EF at the time, and so I thought I'd support Rigoberto Urán.
Nice.
So I wrote it right in the middle of Brussels,
right in the town centre.
I might have had a couple of mineral waters, and I literally turned around and there's a police car drove past, and I guess the tour's the tour. They just drove straight on and let me be.
Yeah, you get away with that a bit more in the mountains, that's for sure.
This year the Grande Boucle is in Lille, so all the more reason not to go.
What is Lille known for? Is it known for anything?
Well, Lille is known for bordering Roubaix.
There you go.
So you can very easily ride your bike along or drive along, and I would suggest you watch the Grande Boucle, ride along to the velodrome, do a lap of the velodrome. You're sure to be able to do that. Yeah. Have a drink in the bar opposite the entrance. It's a nice place. They sell good Roubaix merch too, as well. So I'd say that's a good plan there.
Charles de Gaulle came from Lille. Here you go. If you haven't heard of him, what are you doing?
You're quite right. Stage 2 this year's tour finishes by the seaside of Boulogne-sur-Mer. So if you are doing a little bit of a trip, it's quite nice because you can go to Lille, pop along to the seaside. Boulogne-sur-Mer is very close to where Calais is, which of course is infamous for the booze cruise for the British. For any other nationalities listening, us Brits, we like to get the cheap ferry over to France, go to the supermarket, buy cheap beer, and go home. That is
40,000 cigarettes.
Yeah.
Get your car scraping on the axles with all sorts, and then get back on the ferry. Just get a cheap. You get to look at the White Cliffs of Dover.
But you could do that and also see the Tour de France this year, which is quite good. And stage 3 finishes in Dunkirk, so you could do some war tourism too. Unbelievable.
You could pass the time watching that Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
It's only 14 hours long, so
it's I tell you what, going to see the war graves is actually a really, really worthwhile thing to do.
It's unbelievable. If it's a bit of a dark turn for us to take here, but I think maybe you did the same thing. But I went to high school in Scotland, but we used to do, if you did history, you'd go and see all the sites, if you like, the big craters that are left at
cemetery to cemetery, trench to trench. Yeah,
I remember leaving on the coach, and they put on Blackadder Goes Forth. And I was like, that's too much. Put some cartoons on, you miserable bastards.
They really hit you in the ghoulies with that one.
Yeah. I've got a cunning plan.
I would suggest that, if you're going to do a mini tour, you leave it there. Stage 4 looks like a great one to watch on telly. Mark that in your calendars. But from a fan's perspective, it's a bit wiggly, woggly, windy up into the city centre of Rouen. Bit tricky to watch. I would suggest you skip that, because obviously stage 5 is a time trial as well. So if you thought watching time trials is bad on telly, you should see it in the flesh.
Watching a time trial on the television is positively scintillating by comparison to being there, because at least you have somebody telling you what's going on, and you can flip between what's happening, and if there is any action, you can see it like comparatively live, because that is one of the harder things, I think, to keep track of, like who's where doing what.
I feel like time trials should be just all done on Zwift bikes, the entire Peloton, 108 of them in a row, and it's like, and then you can see who's really winning,
Put them on a football pitch, and then like they could have greyhounds going around the track on the outside.
Yeah, they're pedaling. Yeah, nice.
Great.
Some little tips to chasing the race. Well, chasing the race is basically this thing that a lot of fans on the continent know, because it's just part of the culture and folklore. It's like, okay, how many times can we see the race go past? Because if you're a newbie, if you're an amateur, you're like, oh yeah, we can watch them pass by here. But if you're a Euro, you know that if, depending on the parkour, you could see the race 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, depending on how crazy you drive. So this is this thing where you basically can check out the route, match it up with Google Maps, drop some pins, and see where you can get to. And I love it. Obviously, as part of my job is filming races, so I absolutely love trying to make a little plan to try to see how many times we can, what are the best bits to film the race go past, and so on.
I think like a video game, another layer of uncertainty and peril.
Absolutely. But I must say to you that I live under the constant spectre of speeding tickets arriving at my house in the UK, because it is, it's risky on that. It's risky on that part, shall we say.
Yeah.
So I'd say
even if you're not under the cosh, I remember you getting caught speeding in a tiny little sort of hamlet in Italy, and it was like a guy just popped out of a barn or something like that with like a radar gun, and then you got flagged down. And I mean, maybe that's a scam though. I think about it. He just takes cash off you there in the moment, and you're like, maybe it's just some guy from that village who has like a pristine uniform that he pops on, and he's like, "Here comes some tourists. I recognise the camper man."
Yeah, exactly. He had us good and proper. What I would say is, this is quite new information to me, but you can buy a device that you put in your car and it beeps on your phone whenever there's a speed camera. I was like, why did nobody tell me this before? A few years ago, I spent a lot of time chasing races in Europe. I got 9 speeding tickets.
Oh, good Lord.
9. That was expensive. Or spend about €70 on this device, and it'll...
Yeah, there you go. Which
is cheaper than a speeding ticket. So...
Verified.
Yeah. So obviously chasing the race is one thing. I tend to... There's a website that has all the GPX files of the... So if you get really techie, you can find the GPX files, which are the routes of the actual race. You can upload that into a Google My Map. So Google that, how to do that. And then you can basically have your Google Maps up and see where the race is going past. That's the pro tip for
Google
you there.
now also does, if you spot a speed camera, you can report it as well. So you can, not that we're kind of like backing nefarious means, nor are we sponsored by Google, because we've mentioned them a few times now. But
So mountains where it's at. obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, there's also then therein lies the question: where do you go on the mountain to watch the race? Right? Where would you? I'm interested to know where would you position yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
Would you go early on? Would you go higher up?
well, I think if you're gonna, I say this now, I think if you're going to the mountains, you kind of have to ride them yourself first, and when you do that, you usually get a bit of a sense for like what is the most picturesque spot. Are there more people going to be able to congregate here? Because then you get a bit of an atmosphere around it. Because you could pick a really tiny little corner and then see somebody and have like a really sort of private moment with your favorite rider. Maybe not be on TV. But do you want to be on TV? There's a thing as well. Is like you need a nice open spot where the helicopter can see you and you can put on a ridiculous costume and run alongside them.
Definitely don't condone that.
No, that's not cool. But yeah, I mean, where it's hard to say now because attacks, they go quite early, don't they these days? Because I would say the thing you want to kind of look for is like, where's the action going to be? Well, I want to be somewhere where it's not together anymore, right? You don't want the race to be together anymore. You want it to some sparks to have flown, if not have fully ignited.
100%. It's very difficult because also there's often multiple mountains that you can choose from. So like, for example, stage 14 this year, the Tourmalet is bang in the middle of the stage. 90k in, 90k to go. That's one of the great climbs. So it's like, would you go there? Because the problem with going to a climb that's early on is you risk the peloton all being together. So because it's much better, it's generally much better later on when the peloton's all split up and you're seeing them in dribs and drabs, and you can actually have time to take in the riders and see what they look like and see the pain in their eyes and just enjoy. It's just a more prolonged experience of enjoyment as a fan, right?
What would you do? I'm thinking I would probably go there, ride the Tourmalet, then get a spot. Maybe not the same day because I'm not quick on my bicycle. I should say that, and then find a spot further on to watch. Is maybe what I would do
probably.
for that one.
That's the thing. For example, this year we've got stage 14 Tourmalet, stage 16 Ventoux, stage 17 they're going up the Col de la Loze as well as Glandon the Madeleine. You're like, oh, so many choices. If you try to do all three of those, you're probably going to squeeze. It's probably too much. And you're not going to get a good spot, or you're just going to be stressed because you'll be in traffic jams, you'll be driving super late, you won't get to shops in time to get to stock up with stuff. Like, it's too much. So you got to pick and choose. So
it's a good exercise in decision making, in fact. Because like, if you're one of these people who sort of, like flip-flops on a decision, like when you've made the decision, you're like, oh, if only I'd done that instead, it would have been better. You can't do that. You have to commit, pick your spot, go there and be like, this is it. If it's rubbish, it's rubbish. I'm going to have a good time with, ideally you're surrounded by all your friends from the road that you're going to make, and you have a great time.
I would say, though, Mont Ventoux is coming back to the Tour this year. If you're thinking of it, you got to do it. Ventoux it's unbelievable. It's like nothing else.
I've actually not ridden that one, so that would be the one I would probably pick. It's utterly... But then Tourmalet is as well, so...
it really is.
Torn so hard.
And the Madeleine's iconic as well. I mean, I actually once rode the Mont Ventoux and I got overtaken by Dave Brailsford. He was getting paced up there by the sports directors.
Oh, yeah.
I was in trainers. I was 19. What can you say?
Oh, yeah. I've seen a photograph of this, Harry. Did you not get a selfie with him?
Yeah, I did.
We weren't even calling them selfies in at that time, were we?
Right. And that was also before I realised what a complete and he is.
So he's not on the Christmas card list anymore.
Wow, no. I've just heard many rumours within the sport that he's a real bully. Anyway, one thing I would say is think carefully about your choice. Stu and I, we were on the Colle della Finestra at the Giro d'Italia in 2018 when Chris Froome launched one of the great attacks of cycling history.
Indeed.
And I don't know about you, Stu, but I regret that we were so low down the mountain when we watched.
Because we'd ridden much further up, I think, the day before, because we were there filming something, and it was kind of like a travelogue kind of thing, and so we rode up to get to the gravelly parts of it, and we were like, oh, amazing, beautiful. It was in this kind of late in the evening as well, so it was. I mean, this is kind of a general point I would make about going to the Tour. Watching it on TV, you lose so much. I think it's sort of you become accustomed to seeing these amazing places, and because it's two-dimensional and blah blah blah, and it's easy to access, you really lose a sense of sort of scale and place, which is like when you go there, it's unforgettable. And like I think about it still all the time. And Col della Finestra, I'm like, damn, if we'd been if we'd bothered to go up the road.
We were about 2 kilometres before Froome launched his attack, which goes to show how low we were. And it was a pitiful effort, to be honest. And I regret it to this day. And seeing Yates's move at the Giro this year again and how epic the scenes were at the top, I was like, why didn't... But that's the thing with going to watch the Tour in the mountains is it is hard to go up to the top and be there all day because obviously the gendarmes or whoever shut the roads, the police shut the roads early for cars, even for cyclists. So you have to get that up there super early and just wait. And that's hard because it's cold, it can rain, but it is so worth it. So that would be my number one lesson is to put the effort in and just get up there, get as high as possible as you can because the epicness is nothing that, like Stu said, you'll never forget it.
No, it's completely, it kind of it gets inside you, Harry, and then it never leaves. I mean, totally. I mean, I can't imagine what it must be like to be a rider in a race like that. But like to be there and to see it happen, amazing. The Sunburn escapade was at the top of the Stelvio, which is another absolutely iconic mountain, and getting up there. I mean, this is worth it. Part of the reason it's worth doing your research is like that in Italy they'll have like these buses you can take up to the top, and then they'll take you back down again, or they'll take you up with your bike on the front. So there's lots of different ways you can access climbs. Not always. Sometimes it is properly old-fashioned, and it's you get to a campsite at the foot of the climb, maybe, and then you have to ride up the whole thing, which we have also done. We did that on the what climb was it?
Which one?
We did it on a Col de Porte, which is the one that doesn't have a road off the back. So there's only one way up, and we camped in a field at the bottom, and then we rode all the way up, and it was like that was what I was thinking about earlier when I said if you ride up it before, you get a feel for like, oh, this is going to be a good spot to watch, because right at the top it kind of terminates in like a ski town style car parky thing. And you're like, I don't want to be here, rubbish. Ride back down again, and you can sort of see the places where people start to if you're there early, people are congregating already. There'll be camper vans and any available spot, and like part of it is finding the right vibe. Yeah,
I would say that in general, if you want a bit of the craziness, the sweet spot is to not be right in the final couple of kilometers, but it's right just before the barriers start. So usually they put barriers for the last couple of kilometers, but that obviously means that you can't get that close to the riders. If you get to 3, 4, 5 kilometers to go, the likelihood is the races all split apart, but you can get super close and you can see them up close, personal, and it is amazing. Whereas on the barriers, you still feel that little bit of like
too constrained
distance from them. Yeah,
you've come all that way. You've come all that way to be at the race. Just like we were saying before, don't be an idiot. Don't get in the way. But get up close.
Yeah, because no other sport allows you to be so close.
It's magic. It's absolutely magic.
Yeah. So, you've done the mountains. Well, first thing I've got to say is don't do the big drive to Paris. That's a real, lesson in cruelty that the Tour de France race organisers do. They like to basically finish in the Alps and then force the teams to drive 10 hours to Paris for the Sunday. The riders usually get a chartered flight, lucky them, but the teams have to ride it. And don't bother if you're a fan. I would stay in the mountains and ride my bike a bit more if I were you. But if you are going, well, this year,
it's going to be.
They're going up Monmartre, Stu.
Yeah, just like the Olympics. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be. I mean, Paris. I absolutely love Paris. What a great city. I mean, and very if you've been in the mountains already, what a contrast. What a sort of wash for the mind, coming back into a city like that, and then having a proper race as well. Going to the Champs-Élysées is amazing. We've done that before. It is amazing. But
I would say though, it was the most amazing time we did it, Stu, was when we had the VIP pass. Yeah. Because often the Paris stage is there's too many people. There's casual tourists there who aren't really fans, or muggles as I like to call them. It's expensive, sweaty,
You're
touristy.
You're a cycling fan, Harry.
Yeah, but we managed to get VIP access once. Oh,
we did.
God, can you remember, Stu?
That was bizarre.
Do you remember?
And amazing.
There was pros. They'd finished. They were just streaming right past us. I asked Nairo Quintana's brother if he was his dad.
Because like Naira Man, he does look like he's been around for 1,000 years. So.
Yeah. And then, do you remember later that night we went to the nightclub that all the pros went to?
The FDJ, I think it was like FDJ had a party, and then it was just like the nightclub that all the pros ended up in. So there was all sorts there, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had a dance off with Julien Alaphilippe. So I'll never forget that.
What a way to finish the Tour de France.
I know. So we got lucky that year, that's for sure. But this year, I mean, like you said, Monmartre, amazing. So I was just digging into the stats a bit. So it's 3 times up it, right? They're still going to finish on the Champs-Elysees, amazing. But the last time they go up it is only 6K from the finish. And it's 1 kilometre climb at 6%. So it's nothing. I love it. I mean, that's going to make a nightmare for the sprinter teams trying to control it. And who knows? I mean, I doubt we'll have a GC battle to the wire, but it is so exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who knows? You never know. But I mean, it is unlikely because Pog's probably going to come in with 14 minutes to spare. But
yeah. That's the thing. With this climb, 6K, he could probably then win the final stage as well. That would be a nice cap, wouldn't it?
Great race.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the Olympics. The Olympic road race was super exciting, wasn't it? So
Exactly. I think it's a masterstroke. So we'll see what happens. So that was our mini guide to the Tour de France. We hope it's been useful in some way. We hope it's at least got you a bit excited to go to the Tour, to go and watch bike racing, because there's nothing like it in the flesh. It's a free sport to watch the greatest athletes in the world. Believe it.
Yeah. If you're going, get in touch. raceradio@lifeinthepeloton.com. Tell us, where are you going? Maybe we'll see you there. We're still trying our best to find a way. I mean, it's not that difficult for us, really, Harry. Is it for a couple of trains, Eurostar?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're going to France, the ferry is the way to do it. But
of course,
from a convenience point of view, you can get straight into Paris. But where are you going? Maybe we'll see you there. We could have a dance off and in a nightclub, which we won't name just in case. I mean, I think we were told it's a sort of a badly kept secret, but we'll badly keep it. So there you go.
Yeah. Lovely. 2 weeks to the Tour. Looking forward to it.
How are you going to fill the time?
I'll probably just not go out.
Get your research in for your imaginary tour trip. You can watch all of the great mountain stages and figure out that's the corner that I want to be on.
Exactly. There you go. Do your research. Right. See you, everyone.
Lovely.
That's Harry and Stu, Life in the Pelotons Race Radio.
Over and out.
Let's take advantage of this.
I'm Mitch Docker, and this is Life in the Pelotons Race Radio. Over to you.